Karthik, thank you so much once again for making time and being here with us. I think this is a topic that we have here to discuss today, something that a lot of folks in the community, in the audience, and myself included, are very excited to talk about and understand from you. Given your journey through all of these different consumer products that you had an opportunity to touch and shape throughout your
Yeah,
career. We've obviously taken our stab at letting people in the community know who you are and your background. But I think always helpful to start off with maybe a little bit of a quick introduction, what your journey has been like, how you got interested in product management, and then maybe we go ahead from there to understand things in a little bit more detail.
absolutely. I think hey, thanks, Rohit, and thanks for having me. And it's a great honor and trying to share my learnings, whatever I have had through my career, right? So, so to just give a brief like overview about my career, right? So I started as a developer in 2005. Then after 4 years of working, I did my MBA and I joined Sprinkler as the eighth employee of the company, where we started supporting the marketing and customer support teams across multiple enterprises. Then I came to India in 2013 is when Flipkart was scaling. So I joined Flipkart and started setting up the seller listing experience team and the catalog product. So I was leading the entire customer experience and the seller experience side of things when it comes to catalog. And it was for like 3 4 years, crazy journey. Learned a lot through running big billion days and multiple category unlock, setting up marketplace. So it was a crazy learning in the 4 years, and then I joined LinkedIn to set up their trust and safety team in India. So it was kind of the first product manager to join this team, setting this team from scratch. Where I had an opportunity to manage the trust and safety for all core products like feed, jobs, ads, and everything for LinkedIn. Um, and after that, I joined Walmart International because it's a unique opportunity where leading the products for international markets, Canada, Mexico, and Chile. So it's a great opportunity because each market was in their own growth trajectory. Like Mexico was in 10 to 100, Canada was in 1 to 10, and Chile was in 0 to 1. And each market had its own dynamics. So understanding that and building products for that is a very kind of a unique experience for me. And knowing the customers was a pretty awesome experience. And after that, so Lalit and we all worked together at Flipkart. So I joined Grow in 2021 when COVID kicked in. And that was kind of a hyperscale phase for Grow from 21 to 24, 25, right? So where I initially started setting up the platforms for Grow, because from day one itself, we thought we will be a multi-business or a multi-vertical fintech company, right? That means abstracting the platforms and building platforms for scale, and how do we structure the onboarding experience? Those are all like key for us. And I started setting it up, and then we started setting up a payments arm, right? So that's when I started taking over the GrowPay as the payments arm, working closely with NPCI, getting the TPAP license for us, and then getting the payment aggregator license for us, etc. And then post that, we actually started setting up credit. So I moved and started setting up credit as a business. So overall, it's kind of a lot of new business in a regulated space, and closely working with multiple regulators and like enabling like frictionless product for the customers at the same time, right? So that's been a great learning experience for me. And so now on to AI space. So let's see what comes up.
No, thank you so much. Absolutely brilliant. And I mean, I think most of us here have been users of probably all of the different products that you had a chance to work on at
Awesome.
different points of time, which is absolutely like fantastic. And maybe, a good segue from what you were just mentioning before we get into some of the specifics, right? So I think from a specifics, there were a few areas that people wanted to understand. They want to understand, what makes a product go viral? How do some products have millions and millions of users? What is being done right from a product
Mm.
design perspective, from a decisioning perspective that allows that. Second, to understand a little bit about engagement, right? Like you were mentioning the entire onboarding journey, frictionless experience. How do you
Yeah.
deliver like a very engaging and like high quality customer experience through a digital product? And then, of course, since we are at Ops Matters, also a little bit understanding, being at some of these companies like Flipkart, with a strong supply chain execution behind it, and grow in a regulated environment where so much compliance and process has to be followed. How do you think about the role of operations in enabling, a bunch of different aspects of the consumer promise? But to start with, maybe one of the things that would be helpful to understand, when you think about these different products that you've had a chance to work with, right? How does one go about? What is at a very high level, from a 20,000 feet view, what is the process of developing
Mm-hmm.
like a digital consumer product look like? Why do you think about designing a product in a certain way? Are there some frameworks that people can broadly keep in mind, just to
Absolutely.
ground the rest of the conversation before you dive into specifics?
Absolutely. I think one thing what we generally do, right? So especially any product that we build, of course, it has to have two major lenses, right? So one is, okay, it has to have a customer pain point. It has to solve a key customer pain point. The customer can be like an end user or an ops team or like an enterprise customer. So whoever it is, but at the end of the day, it has to solve the customer pain point. The second lens is around the business opportunity. So for each product that we build, like what is the opportunity that it is unlocking for us? So that is the other aspect that we look at. So generally, we lean on to like a structured product discovery, right? So for example, we speak to customers or we do some kind of hypothesis testing. We do some experiments. So one example I can show you to tell you is how can we quickly move on to a decision making without writing a single piece of code, because engineering bandwidth is at scarcity like always, right? So how can we ensure
Yes.
that we are able to reach to a decision point faster? So at Walmart, so apparels category team, when I was leading merchandising, apparels category team wanted to test a plugin for TrueFit. TrueFit actually maps the size of the user across various brand. Like we did a painted door test where we actually introduced a button on the product page of the apparel, right? So where there is no backend, it's just a button, and then people just click on it, and then we will see the intent of the user, like how many users are clicking on it, right?
Sure, sure.
So just to understand, like what is the demand for such a product. So that is one example. So one thing what I generally use as a framework for building is jobs to be done. Like whenever I was building an onboarding product or a seller listing product or a catalog, right? At the end of the day, users are coming to get some jobs done. So I think now I've changed my internet, so I think it should be a better. So one thing I have noticed is so jobs to be done is one, like identify why the customer is in the platform and what is the pain point that they are trying to solve using your platform. So that's one key aspect. The second one is I am a very big fan of this play to win strategy, like understanding like what is the market opportunity which we are going towards and where are we going to play and how are we going to win and our right to win. So it actually enforces some kind of a trade-off, telling that okay, hey, this is what we are going to go towards and where are we going to play, actually makes you think and say, hey, these are all the things which you need to remove and this is the narrow segment which we are going to focus. And this is a proper business opportunity, and then we are trying to map it to the product landscape, telling that okay, hey, this is how we are going to win. It is a good segue into that execution approach. Okay, these are all the things that we are going to do to win this particular segment. And also right to win for me is more of a reflection, like what are all our strengths and how can we use our strengths to gain an unfair advantage in the market. So that's the approach which I use to bridge the
Sure.
business and the other one. And then finally, if you go into the deeper execution aspects, right? So OKRs play a major role, and there is a thought process that OKRs should be quarterly. And even I have noticed a lot of startups also go into this quarterly OKR approach, which takes a lot of time. I generally push for a monthly OKR approach where because in early stage you have to pivot a lot. So having that monthly thought process and a weekly quick check-in, right? It will reduce the time taken for structuring the OKR At the same time, it will give you the path to execute. Okay, hey, this is where we are going, and we can make the decisions faster. So these are all some frameworks which I generally follow in order to identify why and quickly execute uh, towards that why.